Seb,
you're live
now.
Yep.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us, everyone who's here on live on 9 Years podcast YouTube for the latest Meet the DTB session with myself, Graham, Stacey, and I think you can also see on the screens Luke MacKenzie. Hi, Luke.
Yes. Hello.
You there with you? What are you drinking there in the grotto?
I've got currently a Tiny Rebel key lime lager, and to follow it up with a Club Tropica.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Is that not? I don't drink beer, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's good.
It's quite nice.
Oh, very nice.
Refreshing.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, as I say, thanks for everyone joining us. We're on YouTube tonight. Makes a bit of a change from our usual Zoom format. We've run a couple of polls over on our Dons Trust Twitter feed. You can head over to @thedonstrust and you'll see them there. We've asked 2 questions. The first one, another fine display by Tans last night, but who was the best Wimbledon keeper ever? And 4 options there. We've put Dickie Guy, Big Dave Besant, Neil Sullivan and Rambo. So if you want to head over to @thedonstrust on Twitter and have your say on that, we'll be coming back to that shortly. And there's another one. We're also asking you for your off-field highlights of 2021, the past year. So the options on that one, the new management structure, Plow Lane itself, just because, the TT elections, I can see that's trailing in the vote at the moment, and the return of fans. So again, head over to @thedonstrust on Twitter and get voting. We'll come back to that in a moment. We asked a couple of the board members what their highlights were actually earlier in the day. Hannah Kitcher said seeing Rambo come back at a game was nice, because that's just nice, isn't it? It's what we're about, you know, former players staying in touch and supporting the team and having that sort of spirit amongst themselves and stuff. Jane Lonsdale, former member, sorry, no longer with us, she's healthy, but she's no longer on the board. She said off the pitch after the Bolton game, queuing in the pub afterwards, Wimbledon chants started. I got very emotional when it hit me. There were our songs in our pub at our ground on Plow Lane, something we were told would never be possible. Lots of long hours and hard work took us to that moment. I cried. The love and support from fans was brilliant. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good highlight for the year. What about you, Luke? What do you think? What were your?
I said straight away off the bat, mine was Bolton, undoubtedly. Just and not just the game. The game was pretty entertaining, wasn't it? But just the whole bit of, you know, we'd had the Liverpool sort of warm-up game, but actually the Bolton game was just amazing. And the highlight for me, I'm in the West Stand, so I walked through the doors to go down the stairs to the pub, and there's the kind of landing level, and I walked down to the landing, saw the pub absolutely rammed, and people just sort of singing songs and stuff, and it was just amazing. And I sort of stood there for about 2 minutes just taking it all in, and there was quite a few emotional people there. And what was also really nice, I saw loads of people that I hadn't seen for a long time. Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, they've been going to Kings Meadow and away games and such like, but I just hadn't seen them for such a long time, and just kept bumping into people, which was amazing. And it was always a bit weird as well, wasn't it? Because everybody was a bit like, you wanted a hug, you didn't. It was a bit, you know, some had masks, some didn't. So it was a bit awkward because of that. But yeah, no, what a day. What a day.
I think that's always going to be hard to beat, isn't it? Not just as a highlight of the year, but, you know, at the end of the decade, we're going to be looking back and going, well, that game. And it's always, I think we always said beforehand, it wasn't just getting there, but as you just said, seeing the look on other people's faces, whether you know seen them or not recently. But yeah, it was a wow moment. As you say, the game wasn't bad either. I think mine was a bit more DTB in a way. It wasn't just the appointment of the new manager, but the process that went into it, because I think it was my first sort of time where we've needed to appoint a new management team and stuff. But it struck me that it was a kind of a prophecy, because we talked about a process at the time, about the process of hiring a manager and how we did it and stuff. And we kind of, we got the process. I think we got the process right. And I think, the result, I think, in retrospect, got the best man for the job and everything. But the fact that the process got us there, rather than kind of going, oh, he's quite good, he comes across well in papers, and, let's sound him out, which I think not just at Wimbledon, but a lot of clubs probably happens. But we've got a great process in place. So I think getting that place just felt like something we'd achieved. And yeah, but Bolton was good as well. I like that. What do you think? We've just had the elections, obviously, which, as I say, is trailing in the polls at the moment. I'll come back to that in a minute. But what do you think of the new board?
Oh.
Tell us some stories. No.
What have we got? Well, you got poor old Freddie here. I never know what time it is when we have our meetings. We've had meetings at 3 o'clock, and you think, hold up, isn't this like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning for him? But he's always turned up, to be fair. Yeah, that's good. That's getting to know him. I think for somebody who lives in America, it's that connection bit is going to be difficult but important. And I think he's going to relish it as well. So he brings a lot of experience. He's been on lots of different boards.
Yeah.
So he kind of really raises that professionalness. You've got Michelle, who has been around for the last year or so in her role as treasurer. So she's a great fit and just has some really good salient points in meetings. And who else have we got that's new? That's it, isn't it? The new people.
And then we've got Hannah, Charlie, Niall, Chris. Chris is new.
Yes, well, Chris. Yeah, so I've been on the board. I've been on the board with Chris before, many years ago. So that was good. And then obviously you and Niall have got back on as well. So
yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens, but
no idea.
won't cast aspersions on the election steering committee or anything.
Yeah, I did not pay them. But yeah, no, I'm quite excited. I think it's got a very strong board. I think I've served on, I suppose 3 boards. This is my 3rd board now because it's the way it is annually. There's always a sort of refresh. And I thought we had a very strong board last year and a couple of big misses, people standing down. But I think we've done well, or the vote of the members have done well to get the new guys in. I think they're good choices. I think it'll be interesting with the new co-chair and vice chair structure. Well, not structure, but personnel. But it's very energized. I mean, it always is, isn't it, at the beginning of the year? By the end of the year, everyone's like Walking Dead. But
this time's classic because the ones who have been on the board are just like, oh, it's Christmas, let's have a break. And then you have the elections and the new people are like, can we have a meeting to decide what we're doing? Can we have a meeting to decide, so we've already met twice in the space of a week.
Yeah.
And, over Christmas period, because actually you've got that real kind of renewed energy from the new people, which is great.
Keeps us on our toes and all that. So no, I think it's good. Just to say, while we're here, we have got this. Not going to just be me and Luke waffling on for an hour. We got some very special guests joining us. We're going to do some questions first, advanced questions, and then I think they're going to join us maybe in about 5-10 minutes. So stay tuned. Hope we haven't put you off yet. I'll just go to the Twitter polls in the meantime. So. Question 1, another fine display by Nick Zanev last night, but who's the best Wimbledon keeper ever? Top 2, Lurch, 31%, Dave Besson. Beaten by more recent goalkeeper, Rambo. Yeah? Interesting. We'll come back.
You know what, Dave? You said earlier about the highlights of the year, and actually I think Rambo playing for England was a real highlight. And kind of, I'm not that bothered about international football, if I'm honest. I kind of watch it. Actually, England have done pretty well under Southgate in terms of tournaments and stuff and progress. But the kind of closest I had was when Robbie Earl and Marcus played for Jamaica. Earl scored. I sort of almost jumped through the ceiling when he scored that goal in the World Cup. And, I had that similar level of pride for Rambo. Yeah. And what I don't know what he played, 20 odd games, didn't he? What an inspiration to us for, we've helped him on his journey, his pathway, as Robbo will say, and what a difference he made in those 20 games and so much pride from us lot for having
him. And as Hannah said about him coming back and sort of
absolutely,
he's definitely made in Wimbledon, wasn't he? And so the result of the other poll, though, although that wasn't on there, is a resounding victory for return of fans was Plow Lane, 81% off-field highlight of 2021, includes the field, so a kind of ironic answer there, I guess. But we will be coming back and asking our special guests those questions shortly. But we did have some sent in advance, thanks to everyone who did. we were hoping they'd be quite light-hearted, but we've got some quite deep, tricky questions in the end. First one came from Andrew Campbell, who I know as Fatty, I didn't know his surname. I know him as Fatty because that's his name. I don't know.
He's not even Fatty, is he?
Not even
I don't know where that comes from.
So I know that. I mean, I remember the story he told me how he got the name, but it's not for we might have a younger audience. Sure. Anyway, how many kits did we sell this year, and how many are we ordering next time? So I have to admit, I didn't know the answer. So I asked Joe Palmer, and he's told us we sold the current home shirt. In the first season of sales, we sold 2,972, which isn't bad. We did run out. I think that's what the question is getting at, because just before Christmas we ran out. He has explained how this happens. We ordered twice as many adult sizes and almost 3 times as many kids sizes because we knew we'd sell it more than before. And we do get an opportunity to top up our supply. Our kit was delivered in September of 2020. This was the home kit due to the pandemic. So we only had a month's sales figures by then to decide whether to increase or decrease and so forth. In the past, we've ended up with a surplus and had to sort of sell them on rails around the front for $5 or whatever a year or two down the line. So we didn't want to do that. But what we've been told is we've got much better data now on how our new kits sell. So basically, we won't be making that. We'll be getting it better judged, I guess, in the future.
I think to put a bit of context around it is just the absolute demand since we've gone back to Plow Lane has skyrocketed.
Everything.
Kind of everything we do,
Yeah. You can predict up to a point, but I think the thing here was if we ordered, we'd have had to order so far in advance that it would be next season. We've got another question from John Martin. Has the club received an official response from the EFL to our little letter? And no. And again, Joe doesn't expect us to. It was more aimed at other clubs than the EFL. I don't think we've heard directly from them, but I've read a few comments from their fans. Maybe it's 50-50, isn't it? Depends if you're Portsmouth or Charlton fan or not. That's how you viewed it. But a lot of people saying we're fighting the good fight on that, which is nice. Seems to have landed fairly well amongst fans in general. It's a tricky one, isn't it? You don't want to play people who are sick, but you don't want people that they've injured their key striker, they call the game off. So we've got a few COVID and can't put out a squad when they've got a squad of 75 or something, first team players. So
Yeah, bearing in mind the other day we were potentially going in. I think it was a Charlton game, wasn't it? We were going in with no recognised frontman.
Yeah.
So we wanted to play with that and. Be interesting to listen to Robbo if we get him on a bit later, just to see what.
Oh, you bet.
Sorry, to be fair, Graham, if you're watching YouTube, in the bottom left-hand corner, it does say Mark Robinson, so it's a bit. Yeah. So kind of like you can keep it a bit under wraps, but only so much. Only today's illiterate people watching. We're interesting to ask him what his plans were. Were we going with number 9? A la Spain or what? So
absolutely.
So, but it's going to affect us, isn't it? Everybody's getting affected by COVID. I've read comments. The statement might come back and bite us. Potentially we might have to call a game off. But we will call the game off because we genuinely have to call the game off.
That's the thing. That's all we're calling out, isn't it? It's really people playing games, really, or rather not. Question about the bars at the ground. The service continues to be poor, untrained staff, poor quality of drink, etc. People saying, "Oh, we've gone elsewhere to drink and turn up for the games." Is there anything being done about it? And I think it's fair to say it is. It is being done. It's been recognised, hasn't it? It's for not just overnight. Actually, it's been a while coming, but it's not been solved for fairly good reasons, I think. So we've chatted to Elior. And I think it's a case of they sometimes say you can't get the staff, and we haven't been able to, or they haven't been able to. Brexit's
definitely hampered somewhat in terms of service sector generally, hasn't it? So they're struggling to recruit staff. So you've got no consistency of staff in the kiosks, so that obviously doesn't help. don't know whether we probably should say or not, but they've had to recruit and bus staff in from other parts of the country. I think we might have said that somewhere. I've read it. They've had to get people down on a coach from different grounds around the country to come and support because they're really struggling to hire staff just across the board, not just for our stadium, but other ones they run. So that's proved difficult. I think one of the big things as well is I talk to my mates who will go, oh, why don't we separate the beer and the food, and why don't we have separate lines for this, and why don't we have a queuing system, etc. And I think in order to have that, you almost need a kind of a better level of management almost. So, and I think Elio have recognised this. So what they've done is they've actually gone away and they've been trying to recruit for a while, but they've finally got somebody in now who's basically going to be running the stadium bars and kiosks on behalf of Elio. So
he was at Liverpool and Wigan, apparently.
Yeah, he's done some stuff out of the ground, so knows his onions in terms of football stuff and how stadiums operate. You're always going to get that kind of peak point, aren't you, at 3:45, 4 o'clock? That's just going to happen. There will be a queue. There'll probably be a queue at 10 to 3, regardless of what you do. However, they're looking at different things. I know By the Horns are looking at quick pour taps as well to make things a bit quicker. So obviously they've come in now and they're running the Phoenix. So they're coming in and doing that. So again, more developments, things will get better. We always knew it was going to be a bit of a work in progress. I think what we probably didn't anticipate was the staffing problems and the staffing shortages that will just really hurt you. But once we get a stable team in there, and again, a plea to anybody, if you've got Wimbledon fans in the family and you've got youngsters who want a bit of pocket money and stuff and want to work behind the bars and the kiosks.
Not youngsters necessarily.
Come forward, right?
Absolutely. And I the feeling is that we should expect big improvements in January. So you will get your beers. Don't the
new person's in place now. I think they were going to start for Charlton, weren't they? So
yeah. So do give it another go. A question from Mark Jones. Where is the ticketing review? Which is a good question, a fair question. I think did we say January was the kind of aim? But I think it was mid-Jan that we sort of said it was due. And it is a bit behind, to be fair, from everything I can gather. And I think that's possibly because they are actually being quite thorough. It's an independent team conducting the review. They are being thorough and requesting documents, and it takes time to supply them. So it's not ready yet. It's probably a bit behind. We were hoping for sort of mid-Jan. Is it going to creep into February? Possibly. It is happening. There's no sort of way it's being swept under a carpet or forgotten about or anything like that. We do get regular updates at our DTB meetings, and as recently as I feel, well, I don't know what day it's Twixmas, isn't it? So I don't know what day it is. But the other day we had a meeting and we got an update, and we were told it was a bit behind, but it is coming. I think that's about sums it up, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, I knew an answer to one. Hey, go me. Another one from another tricky one. We've got to be careful with, I suppose. But is there any progress with an investor? Will there be a push on the Plow Lane bond too? I think the best place to look for the update on the investor is, I can't type it, I can't send it, but on the Dons Trust website, thedonstrust.org, there was a financial update which by Charlie Talbot, which was probably about a week ago. I think it may have been just before Christmas Eve, maybe. It was due to appear in the Charlton programme. We published it on the website after the game was postponed. Talks are ongoing. There is a plan B we've talked about, which is well underway, including the launch of the Plow Lane bond. Plow Lane bond 2 rather is live. You can go on the website. I think we're past £300,000 on it last I looked. 350.
Yeah, it's crazy, and bearing in mind we haven't really announced it.
No,
we're kind of keeping it under wraps. That was I want to say a tactical decision. We didn't think it was right to do it before Christmas.
No, you don't want to be asking people for money at that.
No, exactly. So we'll do it in January, and let's push it then and see what it can do.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of promo coming up over the next. Yeah, watch the space and all that for the next few weeks. I think you'll be when you're talking about a big push, then there will be a big push. So that's exciting times. We've already broken the record with the first one, the first Bond. Now the sequel could be the first time a sequel's done better on a Bond. I don't know. I'm getting a twist with that one. But yeah, looking forward to that because, you know, in many ways, if we can hit what 2.5, then that's a massive achievement.
I mean, friendly debt is the best debt, right?
Yeah.
So debt to our fans or other people friendly with us as a cause, an organisation and a football club, you know, is massive.
Yeah.
It depends what interest rate you can get commercially as well. Obviously, it's no secret we're paying a lot at the moment because we're effectively got a bridging loan.
Yep.
So if we can refinance that down and get a lower rate, you know, around the sort of 5-6% mark, then actually that can also, you know, have favourable upsides as well. So there's lots of different strands we're looking at, isn't there? But I think it's cautiously optimistic and confident would be a good way of putting it in terms of refinancing. You know, I really don't think the man's going to come to the door and knock on the door to repossess us and take the stadium away.
No.
But, you know, you've always got that fear in the back of your mind. So
Definitely. So yeah, buy more bonds, everyone. It got us out of a real hole last time, and now it's just amazing stuff we can do with people buying bonds. And yeah, I'm keen. Last advanced question, then we'll bring our guests in, I think. We people we've played along the way, and you know, what's this Reformation in 2002? People like Merstham, Staines, FC United, make some great friends along the way. Wouldn't it be a nice thing to do to not just keep in touch with them, but to organise some pre-season friendlies, whether that's our first team or you know, a development side, under 18s, whatever. But just to wouldn't it be a nice thing to do to keep in touch with these great friends we made along the way? Yeah, absolutely. It's I don't know who organises friendlies. Do you know?
no, I don't.
We should find out. We should probably.
I know a man who might know.
You know someone?
Yeah.
Well, let's see, ladies and gentlemen. Drum roll, please. As promised, we do have some special guests with us tonight, so it's time to introduce them. And hopefully they haven't nodded off and pressed their screen buttons off. It's Mark Robinson, Rob Tuvey, and Ashley Bayzo. Good evening, gents.
Good evening. How are you, Graham?
Evening, guys.
Very well, thank you. You're still there?
Evening. Oh, very much.
Oh, crikey, you really are there, aren't you? Love the getter. Oh, that is a good hat as well. That's a quality one. That's like a Harrods one. I got the little one. It's yeah.
I wouldn't say it's
I'm
Harrods.
trying to work out how to turn the camera on now.
Well, I think first question to you guys. Who organises pre-season friendlies? How does that work?
Mixture really, Graham. Predominantly myself really. With help of Rob, you know, we just talk about how we want to sort of get pre-season up. So
what do you base
yes,
it?
in answer to your question, in terms of the first team playing teams like that, obviously we played some non-league sides. Like for me, pre-season is about getting the lads ready for the season more than anything. But we do lots with, you know, looking back to those days. So obviously we've got young lads out on loan at many of those clubs that you mentioned. So we've got good relationships with them still. We've got lads at Merstham and all those teams. So we've got lads out on loan. We decide to stay in the London Senior Cup, which is, we do that again because of our past. So we could have come out of that competition, but we decided to stay in that competition. And that's where, again, we blood our under 18s. We put our under 18s in that competition and any young pros that are available. So, you know, we do quite a lot in terms of remembering our past. But I think in terms of the first team, although you never want to forget the past, I want to improve the professionalism and make pre-season something that basically gets us in the most perfect shape, ready for the season. And I think we got a lot of that right last year. But if honest, the friendly side of it, the games is the bit that I'm not pleased about. And I want to look at doing it a completely different way, because I think the games are often a waste of time, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I'm more interested in getting the players in the shape they need to be to get us off to a great start. And I thought we were in good shape last year, but I don't think the games are often fit for purpose. So I want to look at a better way of doing it.
Actually, I had an interesting question about about getting players in the zone, if you like. This came from Mark Jones. He said you'd mentioned like how planning for a game, then having it called off, having it called off. You'd rather know it was called off and be able to train more through that week rather than sort of train for a game then not have the game. You'd rather know it's called off. Is that right? Is that or is there something? Would you then benefit from like going on? If the game's called off, having a competitive five-a-side or something alternative, or does it disrupt you for the whole week, or how does that?
In relation to last night, really, I mean that was the point I was trying to get across last night. I probably don't do myself any favours because I'm not one for layering the excuses, but it was a massive issue to us. I didn't want to say that before the game because then it gets in the players' heads and it looks like you're layering excuses before the game. But obviously, we were in good form after not losing in 5 and really good performances away to Accrington and Wickham, and you want to keep that momentum going, obviously. And when the games are coming thick and fast, it's more about just looking after the players, keep them ticking over. The ones that aren't playing, you're trying to top up their fitness. So after Wickham, you're then going into the Christmas period. So if I'm honest, the lads that had started those 2 games, it was just about getting them refreshed, ready for the Portsmouth game and the Christmas period. So we did very little with them leading up to it. Whenever we train with intensity, but we didn't do loads. You're not going to do long sessions and stuff like that. So obviously with the Portsmouth game getting called off with a day's notice, that's it. You've lost those days. You can't get those days back. And then it was the same with Charlton. So once the Portsmouth game got called off, we got the lads in. We had an in-house game for 60 minutes, and then we had a debate. Well, should we do 90 minutes? Should we do 60? And we're like, well, let's do 60 because if we do 90, you've got the Charlton game coming up in a few days. We don't want to do 90. So you do 60, you do what you can. Then the Charlton game gets called off the day before. So you've lost those days as well. So in answer to your question, if you knew you had 18 days off, what we would have done was probably give the lads who have played a lot 2-3 days off to just refresh. And what we would have done was had a mini pre-season. So with the 15 days leading into the Oxford game, we would have had a mini pre-season. So we would have done at least 2 90 minutes in-house games or against opposition. You do loads of 4v4s to keep the sharpness and whatever. So I'm not making excuses for last night because it's fact. So we've gone into last night after 18 days of doing nowhere near what we should be doing, what we would do, because you're preparing for games that never happened. And that's, so and in that terms, it's frustrating. So you feel like you've thrown a game away, really. And I'm really not making excuses for the lads, but that's the way it is. You prepare, the same as when you pre-season, you've got 6 weeks to get ready. That's what you do.
Yeah.
So, that's the reason why the performance was so poor last night. I honestly believe that.
Fair enough. The result wasn't what we wanted. But as we said earlier, what a performance from Tans in goal. I'll
let Bayzo answer. I thought every player was poor, to be honest. Tans made a couple of saves, but saves I'd expect him to make. But on the ball, he was nowhere near it, and nor were any of the other players. But again, I think it was mentally they were just, football's about momentum and flow and being prepared. And I've just watched the game back. I've just finished watching it all back, which was like torture, to be honest. But you have to do it. And, we didn't have one player that performed last night. But, I honestly believe there's a reason behind that. We got 10 games now to 10 days to the FA Cup. Mm-hmm. So now we know what's ahead of us. So we got to do everything to get us sharp and right for that. But at least we know we've got 10 days now. We're not thinking we got 3 days and then the opposition decide to call the game off again.
Ashley, would you the goalkeepers union? Would you? I thought he played well.
No, I've got to agree with Robbo. Really, their saves. He made some good saves. There's a couple I was really pleased with, but they're not saves where I'd sort of not expecting to make, because he's a fantastic goalkeeper and the standard he sets himself. He would tell you that himself. But like Robbo said, I've watched the game back today. I've had a debrief with Tans. Obviously, he's very critical of himself. He wants to know what he could do better. So I've gone into detail and technically with him. because he's a very good distributor, but he could be tidier last night. But that's the standards and the expectancy we expect from him. And that's just him. That's the whole team as a whole, really. So I think I'm only going to repeat what sort of Robbo sort of said. No one sort of came out with any sort of credit last night. We have to sort of look back on it. They're not excuses, but they're facts. And we have to get ready for Bournemouth now in the FA Cup. And we've got 10 days, is it, till then? So I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. Getting on the training ground, getting lots of detail into the players, and look forward to it.
With regards to Tans, he's and it is quite a new thing for us as AFC Wimbledon, really. But international call-ups, is that going to be an issue for us? It's a nice issue. Is it with Tans? Is he going to be called away?
Well, I think we have to cross that bridge when it comes to it. We have a plan if it does happen.
We did.
You know, I think with the New Zealand call-ups, it's a little bit different to the England call-ups, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So when he goes, so yeah, and obviously all the COVID restrictions and protocols now. But yeah, on one aspect, great if he gets called up, but from a selfish point of view, sort of we want him here.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. While we've got you, did you agree with the results of the best ever keeper? We had Dickie Guy, Sullivan, and Rambo. And just looking, Rambo's still leading on 36%, but Dave Besson pecking at his heels on 32%.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, all the goalkeepers you mentioned, they're fantastic goalkeepers, aren't they? All from their era. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't like to say, obviously, I'm going to be a bit biased because obviously I worked with Rambo closely for the time he was here. So I'd have to say Rambo, but I have a lot of conversations and contact with Dickie Guy still now. He gives me good feedback after games regarding Tans and the other goalies. Sully, I know really well, great goalkeeper in his day. And obviously...
Where's Sully? Where's Sully now?
He does the academy at Hull now. Used to be at Leeds.
Right,
he does the younger goalkeepers at Hull City now.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah. So they're all fantastic goalkeepers, but I've worked closely with Rambo, so I'm going to have to say Rambo.
Well, we're on keepers, and I want to bring Rob in soon because I want to ask him a question from something that happened this year. But while we're on goalkeepers, so we've had I wrote something on Twitter a few months ago that you'd basically trained Bayzo, the England under 17, under 18, under 19, under 20, under 21, now the main first team, plus another international. And I mean, that's amazing. So thank you and congrats on that because it's just awesome achievement. I don't think there's probably many lower league clubs that have anywhere near that kind of quality that's come through. My question though was like looking at their careers, it's really weird how it's gone, right? So you had Mannion as almost our first England under whatever he was, 18 keeper, who's now not even getting in the Cambridge team, having been abroad to try and establish himself. You've got Joe, who's gone to Stoke, you know, and has done pretty well, broken into the team, did well on loan, Peterborough at the end of last season, etc. And then you've got Rambo, who's gone from, you know, absolutely stressed just into the stratosphere, just unbelievable progress. What differentiates their pathways? Like how has that happened in terms of, is it sometimes luck? And obviously you've got what's his name? Thingy sitting on the bench at Brentford.
Coxey.
Yeah. Sitting on the bench at Brentford, you know, looking like he probably had a first team game lined up. Which is again amazing, right? So he's got to be a bit gutted there. That was called off. But it's just I find it really strange that their careers have like really gone in different directions.
Yeah, I think decision making. For me, Will Mannion, if he'd have stayed with us when he went to Hull City, I believe I'd have got him in the first team eventually. But he made that choice and he went away. Basically, he'd gone to Hull and he didn't play for 4 years. I mean, you've got to be playing football. Hence, Joe Bursick, he's gone, but he's gone and had good loans, gone down the non-league route, worked his way all the way up, and now he's playing in the Championship, and he'd be playing again. He'd be playing now, but he's had a bad injury, but he's on his way back now. Rambo, he picked good loans, so he started low and worked his way through. So they were young goalkeepers. So if you look at Will Mannion, say Rambo or Joe Bursick, they picked. They had good loans and they went and played football at a young age. For me, young goalkeepers, they've got to go and play football. And Will took the decision to go to Hull City. Good luck to him. They were in the Premier League at the time. But he never really played until towards the end of his time at Hull. So he went on loan to, I think, Kidderminster Harriers, did well. And then he got released after one appearance for Hull and went out to Cyprus. Didn't really work out for him there. But I'm a big believer on the environment they're in, who they're working with. And that's not just saying me, it's about how they're looked after on and off the pitch. It's not just turn up and train. I basically love all my goalkeepers. I treat them like they're my sons. You've got to be a father figure to them. You've got to be there for them when they're high and when they're low. It's about managing them and getting that personality and that character out of them. So I go back to choices and decisions really, and getting out and playing. But if you talk about Will Mannion, for instance, he's at Cambridge now, but he's playing at Havant and Waterlooville. He's probably doing now what he should have done when he was 19 and not 23 or 24. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting, isn't it? How their career paths have gone, but that makes a lot of sense. So just to take over the hosting, Graham. Sorry, I want to bring in Rob now because I need to ask Rob. And to be fair, I asked Robbo this a few months ago. But in the game when you got, was it a yellow? It was a yellow card, wasn't it? Not a red card. I can't even remember.
Yeah, yellow cards. Yeah. Yeah,
just we get that. And I went up to Robbo and I said, was that Rob the fan or Rob the assistant manager going a bit nuts?
I think it was the assistant. I think it was probably brewing from a few games where we just felt that our attacking players were getting a few too many cheap fouls on them and wasn't getting probably the protection that they needed at the time. And I think it was a frustration that was building a few games, and we just felt that, especially on Ayub at the time, every time he got on the ball and he was skipping away from people, he was just getting kicked or pulled back, and the protection wasn't quite there for him. And I think that as a club, we spoke to the Referees Association, and I think we've highlighted it that it is something that we need to look at, because I think at times our attacking players have had no protection or not the protection that they need. And it's something that we wanted to highlight. I don't think I went the right way about it. It's not something that it's not the example I want to give to the young, especially the young fans out there. But yeah, no, obviously we're passionate about the players and we care about them on the pitch.
Right. So that's it's quite. I quite like seeing a bench worked up. But I shouldn't say that probably. We've talked about our highlights of the year, Luke and I. What are you the three of you? What are your highlights been? What are your best moments of 2021?
Do you want to go, Robbo? Do you want to go first, Robbo?
I'll let you two go first.
Wow. Well, obviously I've been here a while, so obviously it goes without saying. First game back, Plow Lane. First game back at Plow Lane with fans. It's just when I first came to the football club, it's something that was spoken about, and then to see it all sort of come together was just amazing. So that'd be probably my biggest highlight. There's I could go on, but that'd be my main one. Back at home.
Definitely
for me.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think I probably got two. I would say Bolton at home, just to see the fans back there and the chance before the game to look around the stadium. Because obviously back end of last season, I remember me and Robbo walking out the stadium after all the home games, and obviously there wasn't fans in there at the time, but we were just saying how good it's going to be, and to actually experience that on the day was something special. I'd also say Morecambe as well. Morecambe away, I thought Morecambe away was absolutely brilliant last minute, and just as an away trip, it was one of the best that I've been on.
Great change, anyone, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And Mark?
Yeah, obviously, Plow Lanes, you can't not be, can it? It was so emotional and in so many ways, and for me personally as well. So that's the obvious one. But if I can be greedy, Graham, I have another two. I'd say Accrington recently, because that's kind of everything I envisage football being like. We played better, we played really well, but more about the fans, just people having a good time, which I think we desperately need, in football generally, just fans having a great time, and then the players having a great time with them after, and then meeting up at the service stations and just everything. It's just, I just sat on the coach with a massive smile on my face thinking this is how I want it to be. And the other one would be the sleepover. I know it's off the pitch, but I'm so intent on building this connection between the players and fans that no other club can possibly have. And I think the fact that the lads off their own back, not with me not saying a word, decided to go and sleep over with the fans, I just, it shows me we're going in the right direction. There's still loads to do, but just going in the right direction. I just honestly don't believe that's happening in a club anywhere else, because actions always speak louder than words or videos. So the fact that the boys off their own back said, no, we're going to go and sleep after a game, after playing 90 minutes of football, just like made me think, no, we're heading the right way. So that was a massive highlight.
I'm not sure there was a lot of sleep, to be fair.
No, true.
They were playing football till about 4 a.m. and doing my nutting because I was trying to go to bed.
That makes it even better though, Luke.
Loud music, kick around. God, yeah.
Last couple of questions. We've had a couple of questions come in. Can I ask, well, three of you really, what's it like to work at a club with 4,000 owners? So
Hey, go on, Rob or Robbo. I'll let you go on this one.
Yeah, go on. I'll go first if you want.
Go on then, mate.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, I think it's so unique and something that we cherish every day. Everything around the training ground is about continuing the greatest story in football. And I think that we've got to remember that we're doing it for every single person who owns a club each day. And that's what makes it so special. And I think that it gives you a purpose each day to come in and be the best version of yourself and drive the story on as far as we can, really. So it's an absolute privilege to come in every day and to know that we're representing every single fan.
Yeah, I'll second that, to be fair. It's like you say, it's unique. Don't happen anywhere else for me. So I can't, well, you know how I am. I speak my mind, wear my arm my sleeve. I'm a passionate guy, and the fans, they give it back to us. So thank you. It's great. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't add any more, really. Obviously, it brings its challenges when you've got 4,000 owners, but you wouldn't. Who would want it any other way? If you love the game and you understand what the game really is about, who would want it any other way? So I think we all feel honoured and privileged to have the jobs we got.
Well, what about you, Graham? Because I think one of the being on the ball is pretty challenging, right? When you've got 4,000 people, because you'll have 2,000 fans wanting one thing, 2,000 fans wanting a different thing, and you're kind of stuck in the middle trying to appease everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, my default is ask the fans, because I don't think we've always done that. And, on strategy decisions and all that kind of stuff, I don't think we always have. And I think that was my sort of manifesto, was like, let's ask the fans what they want, because speaking as a fan in the past, I've sometimes felt like we've gone ahead and done things, and it's like, did we sort of give permission as owners to do that? Is that what we wanted? So yeah, I always think ask the fans, and if I don't have an answer, I think let's do a survey where, as much as possible, ask as many things as possible, as often as possible. And as a board, we do that. It's not just me saying that. As a board, I think we do that over the last couple of incarnations, certainly. Maybe not when I first arrived, but I think we did. We sort of dabbled in a few things, but like over the last year, we've had the big strategy surveys, and we've asked all the questions we could when we could, which I don't think you can go wrong, because it's, unless it is a 50-50 thing, then I don't know, but that hasn't happened yet, so we've been all right. But yeah, I think that's how I look at it. Really, is I always ask the members. They won't, we've got the best fans in the world. We can ask them, we can rely on them, and it isn't just about asking for money in the bad times. It's asking what they want and would like to have in the good times as well. So yeah, as much as we can do that. Talking about like things that you'd like to have, that jumper, was that a Secret Santa, or I was going to say, do you do Secret Santas? Did you exchange gifts?
Oh yes, we do.
I want to hear it. Best and worst.
Who's the best? Robbo got a good one, didn't you, Robbo?
Yeah, I've got a little stress relief, little punch bag. Yeah.
Thing is, right, he keeps rotating staff members around it. So if we give him the he just punches it. No, it wasn't. This was in a Secret Santa. This is me going out jumbo at Christmas.
Oh,
down the logo. Yeah. You said put a jumper on, so I thought I'd put the hat on as well.
Nice.
And I was Santa delivering the presents to the staff anyway. So yeah, yeah, we're a close knit, great group of staff to work with as well. By the way, I got to say, it's a joy to come in every day. So just doing something like that at Christmas, it's good. It's a special place, and long may it continue.
Well, so it must be good on away trips. You have, as you say, it's going to be a fun working environment, and away trips must be pretty good.
Graham, sorry to interrupt. I think you need to ask Rob what he got as Secret Santa.
Oh
yeah.
I just got a lovely T-shirt. That's all I can say.
What T-shirt was it, Rob?
Yeah, I think it had a logo on. I don't know.
Did you hear, Rob?
Okay, yeah.
No, I haven't. Yeah.
You're not telling us. He's not sharing. Anyone else?
No, I don't think I can share.
I don't think, off camera might tell you.
Do you do just Christmas songs and stuff on the coach and stuff like that? Or
we're quite big into quizzes on the coach. We've got a few on away trips, long away trips. Chris McConnell, he's quite a good quiz master. So we have a few quizzes. We've got a bingo set as well. So
nice.
we'll have a game of bingo now and then. But yeah, no, we're really big on that.
Who wins the quizzes?
To be fair, Andy Parslow's teams do pretty well.
Yeah.
If you're on Andy Parslow's teams, you're doing okay. But the players, there's a few players that are quite good as well. Ben Hennigan is always right up there in the winning team as well.
Yeah, we do.
Bayzo knows a lot of songs, to be fair. He knows a lot of lyrics to songs. So I'm sure he'll give you a sing-along.
Just give me a drum kit, I'm happy.
So last question or two, I think, if we can. New Year's resolutions. Have you made any? Do you do that sort of thing? What are they?
No, I used to be superstitious when I played, but since I've sort of known Robbo and been working even closer with him, I'm not really a superstitious guy anymore. For whatever reason, I haven't. No, I haven't.
No resolutions. Mark?
No, sorry, Graham. I've been bored. I'm not really into that sort of. No.
Well, what about what do you want to achieve over the next year when we host this show this time next year, and we say, what was your highlight? What would you like to be able to say we did?
I want to keep our progression on and off the pitch, which I think we've done. The league tables is not where we want us to be right now, but I think there's been massive progression as a football club, and I want that continue. I still believe we'll have a top half finish this season. I genuinely believe that. And so this time next year, I will be sitting here talking about, are we going to go up via the playoffs or even better?
I like the sound of that. Yeah, sounds good to me. Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for coming on, Rob, Mark and Ashley. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope everyone watching has enjoyed. It was a bit impromptu. We didn't advertise it because we didn't want it to turn into a Meet the Manager, because I believe we're looking at hosting one in January. Details to come. Watch this space and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for it's Christmas time of surprises. So I think having you on has been a nice surprise for everyone, hopefully. So yeah, thanks very much.
And
Thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Can I just say, I think there's something actually quite nice about getting Plymouth called off, because I'm not sure anybody wants to go down to Plymouth on the 1st of January. I'm sure there's a few fans that probably miss it. But, actually for you guys, I think footballers get a bit of a rough time over Christmas and New Year, and it's great for the fans, and, games are coming. But actually it's quite nice for you guys to spend some time with your family as well and friends. So good luck to you. So yeah, if you do drink, go and get drunk tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you.
Have a great
Thanks, fellas. Thanks.